Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Mary Price, the Events and Marketing Director at the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. And today we have Cheryl Jekyll, a Shingo faculty fellow with us, and Steve Gunn and Connie Dooley from the Gunn Company. In our newsletter earlier this month, we published an article called Improvement as a Human Endeavor, which is the topic we're discussing today. You can read that article by going to shingo.org/articles. Cheryl, Steve, Connie, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone, and I'm truly excited to be here today. I picked this month to feature the Gunn Company, which we have Steve Gunn here, who's going to share with us his approach to continuous improvement using the Shingo model, including the people part of that, the respect for every individual. And then we also have Connie with us. I just wanted to share with you quickly why I picked the Gunn Company. I've been doing continuous improvement for over 30 years, and I've learned so much about how to put people truly in the front, more than rhetoric, to truly put people in the front. So I'm tearing up over that one. So anyway, I'm going to turn this over to Steve, and then we will have Steve and Connie talking.
Well, Cheryl, you're very generous. Thank you so much for this invitation today to speak about our culture of continuous improvement. And I'm really excited to have Connie Dooley with us. She's our culture coach and is really the architect of so much of the culture that we have here at the Gunn Company. So she's been a blessing in my life personally, and certainly a blessing to our organization professionally. So Connie, thank you also for being here.
You're welcome.
We're going to walk through just a quick introduction of the Gunn Company. We're going to talk a bit about our culture of continuous improvement, and then we're going to really hone in on some very specific components of our culture around communication and listening skills, and how specifically we listen to our team members so that we can continuously improve. And of course, this entire concept of empowering our team, enabling our team members came to us through the Shingo model. And so we're very much excited to talk about the Shingo model of operational excellence, because it's had a profound impact on our culture and our people and the performance of our organization. So just a quick overview of the Gunn Company. We're a 75-year-old, fourth generation now family business. We've grown at a compounded rate exceeding 15% over the last 30 years, 15% per year over the last 30 years. We now have over 1,200 employees in 17 locations across 7 countries. But really what is the most unique part of our business is we have developed a business model that's based on integrated manufacturing, offering differentiated value to our customers based on a high level of performance. And a big part of that performance is we have a 30% ESOP. So our team members own 30% of the company. So there's a very high level of economic engagement. And that really helps drive our culture of continuous improvement. And I think that culture is one of the things that helps make us unique. As Bob Chapman of Barry Waymiller would say, our product is our people, and we very much feel the same way. Our people do manufacture products, and so we do make components for electrical power systems equipment. We make fabricated composite materials commonly used as electrical insulation for everything from a power generator to power plant, all the way through to a UPS protecting your computer or the watt-hour meter on the side of your home. So anywhere there's electricity flowing, our components are used there. What's more important, though, is our business model of taking care of our folks. And so, as I mentioned, the Shingo model has had a profound impact on our business. A leader named Phil Williford brought us this model in around the 2012 timeframe. He had won the Shingo Prize when he worked for Medtronic in their Jacksonville, Florida location. And he brought us this model, which, like many companies, we had gone down the path of reading the book, The Toyota Way. And what we had missed from that book, although we learned a lot about tools, we really missed the cultural enablers, the foundation of that Shingo house, leading with humility, respecting every individual, recognizing the dignity in every human, and really trying to develop folks. And so that is a big part of our culture today, based on that Shingo model. And we came up with 3 guiding principles, with the primary guiding principle to take care of each other. We believe very strongly that if we take care of each other, we'll have great people that will take care of our customers really well. And if we add differentiated value for our customers, they will take care of our business, which allows us to reinvest in our people. And so we have a number of systems that we've put in place that are all about serving our team members so that really we can capture their hearts and minds, empower and engage them, and drive organizational performance as a result of having an organization that starts with taking care of our people. So Connie Dooley's here today, and one of the things that she'll talk about is our people first, humanistic leadership based culture. And she'll talk us through some of the components of that people first culture. What we do is combine a people first culture with operational excellence. And though we only have a half hour today, we're going to focus in on a number of the things that we do specifically, the hows, specifically in terms of how we listen to our people and how we take care of our people. So this is what we'll be touching on today. And I'd like to introduce Connie Dooley just to talk a little bit about how we start with developing the communication skills of our people.
Well, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This has been a process, and it's been developed over the past 10 years when I took the role as culture coach at the gun company after being influenced by Barry Waymiller and Listen Like a Leader and other training that they had at their organization. It started with Listen Like a Leader. It's a 3-day course for leadership development that actually trains leaders how to listen with empathy. And then we added on, part of my vision was, what do we do with everybody else? We train our leaders how to listen and how to communicate. What about our team members? So then I created a Careful Conversation 1.0. And it's basically, what do you do when you have a problem with a person in a culture of care and continuous improvement? And I began training. I came up with a process, trained that, and I do a follow-up now with the 2.0. Just rolled that out this year.
And Connie, I think one of our realizations as a company that came from Barry Waymiller's culture, which we had benchmarked from them, is just the importance of listening with empathy, to recognize the dignity of each person, to recognize that they have ideas, they want to bring their brain to work every day, but we have to teach basic communication skills. And we have to teach really how to care for one another in a business environment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Steve. So our Careful Conversations, it actually trains people on empathetic listening. I'm talking every team member, not just our leaders. What would it look like if everyone's trained on this? So we train them on empathetic listening, understanding homeostasis, how to respond when you have a problem with a person at work. We use red cards for problems with processes, problems with equipment. What do you do when you have a problem with a person? And I train them and develop them on that. And then they also do a practice in a small group setting and give them the skills that they probably didn't learn at home or anywhere else. Where do people learn how to communicate?
Connie, I just had a quick question about this. How would you, you've seen the whole thing evolve. How would you say the workplace, if you were there listening and watching it, how has it evolved with this type of training that everybody's gone through on communication?
Well, I go year over year. That's another slide. I did listening sessions. I listen to every team member. I do a gemba every year listening to our team members personally, because everything's filtered through the leaders. And if you go to where the work's actually done and you listen to them, they often have solutions or what they would like to see in the culture they work with. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I hear comments like I had one gentleman, an older gentleman, said, you know, if I had to learn how to communicate like this 20 years ago, I may still be married.
Mm.
Yeah, that's talk about life impact. One of the
That's
things
one
that
of many.
one of the things that I think is a reality is that in schools today, we don't really teach basic human communication skills, interpersonal communication skills. And that was a real wake-up call for us when we first started down this road, Cheryl. We realized that people just didn't really know how to communicate interpersonally in a business setting. And just to be able to go through these workshops that Connie developed and to be able to do some role playing and some practicing, I think it gave people a lot of confidence that they could share their voice because there is a way that we do it here at the gun company that respects each individual.
That's why I just see this as so foundational to continuous improvement.
Yes.
Like it would be good anywhere to help create that skill set.
Yeah. Yes, great point. And so let's give you a really concrete how. You know, how do we listen to people? I think in any factory floor, it's natural for operators on the floor to have ideas about how to improve what they do every day. Unfortunately, when they share those ideas, maybe their team leader isn't paying attention. Maybe they don't write down what the person says, or maybe they don't remember. Maybe they're too busy.
I've been doing this for 10 years. Yes, the dream was that we start with a why and then listening sessions. I mentioned going to gemba, getting the pulse. Where are people at? Not just what they put on a form, but listen to them, because some people have a hard time, especially when I go to our operators, of communicating. So just listening to them and then translating it. But we actually came up with metrics with this, where every year I would travel around to every facility with groups of 8 to 10 people, sitting and listening to them in 1-hour sessions. They take the survey and they give feedback. And that's where we get all of our data from year over year with continuous improvement. And so we continue to do that and listen to our people. And one of the secret sauces I'll say to this is that often you'll do metrics and we're very metric based. So we're looking at, what did they score high on? What did they score low on? I had 2 discussion questions. What's most important to you that you would like to see improved in this survey? And what is something we're doing well in this survey? So we're not just looking at what we do, what we're doing that we need to improve on, but also what are we doing well? Let's recognize and celebrate that. The metrics could show a certain item as lower, but what the people tell me they want to see improved, that's what we focus on. And we start A3s, our continuous improvement platform, where the facility takes ownership of it, pulls people all over to come together to determine a process to improve that area.
How do they decide what to work on, Connie?
Came out of the listening. I give them the feedback and they determine 2 to 3 things from the feedback of what they need to improve on. For example, tools and equipment. And we would then come up with an A3. Now, did they get it? Maybe fix the first year? No, they'd hear it again next year. But I'd go back now and listen, and I hear people say things like, oh man, these listening sessions work. Things are just different. Like, we didn't used to have this tool. And they heard us and they got it for us. And it just built more engagement, and people want to do a good job and they have what they need to do that job.
As a part of Connie's listening sessions, we use these 12 questions plus our 5 culture questions, and they really drive improvement because we're really listening in these hour-long sessions. And after those sessions, we do these Kaizen events to, again, translate that listening into improvement. And the folks are invited to participate, and they really drive the prioritization of what we address. And everything is shared visually, and so everybody is aware of the process and how it works and how they can contribute to how we improve. I'm sorry, Connie, you want to jump in?
I'm just going to say, I had mentioned how we asked the question, what's most important to them, that we do well, and where they would like to see improvement, and we get this feedback on these questions. And you'll see the red, that was the feedback that we heard were the 2 questions that they wanted to improve on, versus the green is what we do well.
One of the things about listening, we teach listening with empathy and interpersonal communications. But one of the hows, we demonstrate that listening through the visual management boards. These visual management boards we learned, again, from Phil Williford, who brought it to us from the Shingo Award winner Medtronic in Jacksonville. What this board system allows us to do is demonstrate that listening visually. So when people have ideas for improvement, they have frustrations, when they have safety issues that they see, when they have obstacles that we need to overcome, we translate that listening into these cards. And in small teams aligned by value stream, we have leaders, team leaders, that with their small group, they prioritize which cards we address and action in what prioritized order. And so we use data to help drive those decisions based on the performance metrics for that area. But the key here is that there is this method, this system for listening and capturing the hearts and minds of our folks and engaging them in the improvement so that they're empowered to address the issues that they're confronting at work every day. Very, very powerful tool to translate that listening into action.
Steve, it has to be one of the best idea systems I've ever seen. With just great file. I mean, it would be hard to lose track of an idea. You really almost couldn't. And so people can see that. I just think it's a great system. We did get a question from somebody. Let me ready for me to run it past you. In terms of communication, what is your experience between the differentiation between recognition and reward? And I know you guys are really big on recognition.
We are really big on recognition. And I don't think monetary reward is as big a factor as many people try to put it on. Recognition and celebration of folks is extraordinarily powerful. People want to be appreciated for their ideas, for their talents, for their skills. We do that again systematically. Yes, reward compensation is important, and we've got a great process and structure for how to handle compensation, but I would not trip over the reward and miss the recognition and celebration. And so what are some of the things we do to recognize? One, every Friday, it's really fun. We have Celebration Friday. And so individual emails are sent out to the entire company that will focus on an individual or a team to recognize and celebrate their performance. And it's just fun to celebrate people, lift them up, make sure that they know that they're appreciated. As Bob Chapman of Barry Waymiller would say, shine the light in every corner of the organization where good work is being done, and make sure everybody knows it and celebrates it. And that is really powerful. Another fun thing we do is we have the Plant of the Year. And for those of you who are hockey fans, we have a Stanley Cup that the Plant of the Year award winner receives. And that plant, every person who works in that factory gets their name on the cup. And, so you just make it fun and celebrate people performing at a high level.
When we recognize and celebrate people, we tell them, do it again. And it's almost like it's part of our nature as human beings that when we get recognized, you want to do better. You want to exceed, you want to perform more. And we actually don't use the word reward in our culture. Like when we're talking, we talk about recognizing, celebrating, and really lifting each other up.
We don't have a word in the English language for celebrating and recognizing people necessarily. We call it a eulogy when someone dies and we tell them how much we love them after they're already dead. We call it a roast when we kind of celebrate and make fun of somebody, but we don't have a word for just lifting people up and making them feel good about themselves because of their efforts and their contribution to the organization. But we do that around here quite a bit. It's just how do you lift people up and how do you help them develop? And that's really fun, to be honest with you. Not many people get told how much they're loved and appreciated at work. And that's something we really like to do.
Yeah, Steve, I was just going to add in, if you can maybe share, the thing you've really taught me is the word recognition includes the word recognize. And you really taught me a lot about just knowing people's names and caring about them and their lives, how many kids they have, where they live. That's fundamentally the first element of recognition.
Yeah, that's a great point. I read a book, which the name is escaping me, but one of the points in the book was that you really don't know your team members if you don't know their family situation. If you don't know the name of their spouse or their children or where they're from, you really don't have a relationship with them. And so that's something that really struck me years ago. How do we make sure that we're recognizing the dignity of each human being by knowing their story and their background and just connecting with them? So kind of use the word gemba. And one of the things we do a lot is gemba walks. And the very first thing we expect our leaders to do is connect individually with each person on the team and make sure that there's a relationship there, because you're not going to get people to communicate. You're not going to get people to share ideas if there isn't psychological safety. If people don't know that they're cared for, they're not going to feel confident enough to share their ideas. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this psychological safety that comes from a culture of care, where people know that we have their best intentions in mind in trying to develop them and help them. One of the other things that we do to listen is we have what's called an individual development plan. This is not a performance review. It is a sit down up to 4 times a year, or really as many as anyone would want. But the idea is that we start with that servant leadership of asking, what is your ideal state, dream, or vision for where you'd like to be in the next 3 to 5 years, either personally or professionally? And the idea is we start with, as a leader, I'm here to serve you. What would you like to do? What would you like to see for your career? And then get into, how can I help you get there? And so really, if we start with listening around each individual's dream or their vision for their life, if we start at that point, then we can start talking about, okay, now we know where you stand and what you'd like to do in your life. How do you think you're doing in terms of living our values? And we're asking people to be introspective, not only about their own dreams and visions, but their own behaviors. Oftentimes, people don't need a performance review. They just need to be asked how they think they're doing. Most people are pretty introspective given the opportunity. And so we start with that introspection and we ask people, hey, for you to get where you are today to where you want to be in the future, what knowledge do you think you need to gain? What skills do you need to develop? What behaviors do you need to demonstrate? And so let's work on those, and let's determine a path to get you from A to B, wherever B is for you. And so this is a way to start with listening and then help people become who they want to be in life. And I think that is also a big, powerful part of our culture. And it starts with listening and connecting and building that personal relationship.
Could I add a comment about our IDP and our core values? We just don't have our core values with definitions. We have, what do they look like? What does good look like? And so we actually give 5 behaviors for each core value that they grade themselves on.
That's exactly it. And we connect our values with specific behaviors. So each of our values here are listed on the left. And then you've got a definition of each of those values and then the actually aligned behaviors. So really what we're after is helping people perform at a high level so that they can reach their life dreams. And really, if you think about our why, our company why, is to recognize and serve others so that lives are transformed. we're trying to transform people's lives, helping them live their vision of their life, live their dreams. And so we recognize that people can come to us from anywhere on the bell curve of life and the bell curve of life performance. And if we recognize their humanity and we honor their dignity by understanding their blessings in life, and we understand where they're at from a knowledge and skills and behaviors perspective, and we help them develop the knowledge, skills, and behaviors that lead to high performance, then we can help them live their dreams. And as we say around here, individual flourishing, that is, people becoming who they are meant to be, really leads to organizational flourishing and allows the company to grow, which provides more opportunity for people to grow in their career. As the company grows, so grow the opportunities for growth for our people. And so it's been a powerful model for us. And so really to kind of wrap up, what we have is a people first culture. And we've talked specifically today about how important listening is in that culture. And then we combine it with operational excellence systems that leverage that listening to help people become who they're meant to be. And that individual flourishing leads to organizational flourishing. So that's what we wanted to cover today. And we're happy to spend whatever open time we have to answer any questions.
There's a question about if somebody came to you to become a certified technician, what would you provide in terms of time?
Oh, of course. I mean, we
That was the answer, of course.
assuming that we don't have that role in our company, of course, but for whatever role we have, for every role we have a training plan. So for a person interested in being in a given role, there is a very complete training plan for them to get into that role. And if they were to complete that training plan, of course, we'd love to have them advance and fill that role. Well, it was fun to do this,
Yeah.
Cheryl. I appreciate the invitation.
Yes.
Connie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
That
You're
was
welcome. Thank you.
amazing. Thanks to all of you. Such good content. It sounds like an amazing company to work for. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.